Let's talk a little bit about value. Value. Now, not that something's on sale value, though that could be interpreted as value, but actually when something's on sale, it's a misinterpretation of value. What are you talking about? Well, okay. I worked in the investment field for a long time. And value was interpreted by what somebody was willing to buy and what somebody was willing to sell. And when those two numbers got together and created a price, we had what was called a trade. So a stock can only trade when there's a buyer and seller. And I used to joke that trading is really a buyer and seller settling their argument with money. And that determines value. So the price of the stock is its value by what somebody is willing to sell and what somebody's willing to buy. So when something was for sale and then goes on sale even discounted, they didn't interpret the value right. How do you treat that in your life? Different. How do we exhibit value? Because in essence, you will get paid by the value in which you create for others. If you create something of high value, people will pay for it. And you can get to a point where you have high value, where you can command what you get paid for it. I know it sounds hard to think about, especially if you're working for a salary or an hourly wage. How do I command value? That salary or hourly wage was determined by a group of people that said the value to that position is this dollar amount. If you excel above that dollar amount, you're adding more value and maybe you'll get a raise and a review. It's when you're self-employed, when you really start to take that value thing to heart, because you have to determine the value that you create. There's a lot of people out there that have an interesting perception of their value. And there's a lot of people out there that charge an interesting amount for their value because of the perception associated with what they feel they deliver and what the consumer gets. And they're unwilling to put that on sale because they feel it's a slap in the face to their credibility. That's that other point. So I started off talking about if something's on sale, it's a misperception of value. When you're charging so much to do something and nobody's taking it, and you're too proud to reevaluate that your value might not be conveyed, or maybe you need to add something to it to create that equilibrium of price that somebody's willing to pay, how good is it to sit there and boast of a price that nobody pays? Are you really providing value, or are you just perceiving yourself as providing value? That's something to think about for a long time, but it's also one of the steps you can do. So with your kids, your family, your relationships, how do they perceive value of you? I know it sounds weird. It's amazing sometimes when we ask our family members, what do you think my values are? What do you think people admire in me the most? It's that self-reflection point that we just can't get when we do it ourselves. It takes somebody else, and usually coworkers have theirs. That's what reviews are about. So think about value sometimes, and think about the fact that you can create value by giving value.